being in front of the club, I can be honest, I don't know where we're going to get. But the whole theme and the whole ethos of the club itself is just to allow more people to swim run. And I think we've been succeeding quite well.
Welcome to the Low Tide Boyz, a Swimrun Podcast. I'm Chip.
I'm Chris, and this is episode 68 of the show. On this week's show, we're taking another trip across the pond to southern England to chat with Vinicius Vecchiatti and Sarah King of Söuthsea Swimrun. It was great to hear they were sharing their love for swimrun and building community in Portsmouth, England, which is about 75 miles south of London. This is a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
More on this later in the show.
Now, it's race week. Swimrun season in the U.S. has officially kicked off this weekend. Swimrun Lake James in North Carolina. Best of luck to anyone racing out there, the short course or the long course. And remember to thank all the volunteers out there. And remember, of course, have fun. Now, on to this week's shoutouts.
So this week, we're shouting out our newest patron on Patreon, Ryan Smith.
Go, Ryan.
We really appreciate the support, helping us keep the quote-unquote lights on and helping us pump out good content for everyone, including forthcoming coasters. We got some coasters made. So we'll be talking more about that later.
So you too can prevent water ring marks on your coffee table or desk.
Yeah.
Now, on to this week's Feats of Endurance. This week's winner was last week's honorable mention. So, Mike McMillian, congrats on your promotion to week sole owner of Feats of Endurance this week. We've noticed you've been crushing it in the gym and everywhere else. So, you also did a really cool swim the bridge double crossing. That looked really awesome. So, congrats on that. If you're wondering how to get the Feats of Endurance bumper sticker, make sure to head on over to our Strava club. So, in Strava, just search Low Tide Boyz. Join up. Get inspired by your fellow swim runners as they train all over the world. It's heating up. People are getting out there. They're getting active.
People are getting out there.
And we're getting out there too. Now, everyone's favorite theme song related segment. This Week in Swimrun, powered by RaceID.com.
All right, so we have a couple of updates to share this week. As we mentioned earlier, swimrun season is officially kicking off with Swimrun Lake James this weekend. This event is also a Attila merit race, which means that long course teams will be earning points towards qualifying for entry into the World Cup selection lottery, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
If you wanted to learn more about this race, you can check out our recent podcast episodes with race director Kristen Geno. If you want to learn about the history of the race and even get a little mini course preview from the race director herself. Speaking of Lake James, Wild Swimrun ambassador and our friend Trista Menon is hosting a meet and greet on Friday, April 23rd at 4 p.m. at Fonta Flora during the packet pickup for the race. So if anyone who wants to learn more about Wild Swimrun can go there and check it out. If you don't know about Wild Swimrun, then you basically need to be listening to way more of our podcast episodes. But they're a group of women who support women athletes to discover the sport of swimrun. Can't get much better than that. So if you're female, support a female, or just generally interested in what Wild Swimrun does, stop by and say hi to Trista.
Yeah.
For our German listeners, Swimrun Rheinsberg recently opened registration for their June 20th event. The race looks like it has it all. It has a kids race, and a super sprint, and a sprint, and long course distances. So something for everybody. You can get all the details on their website, which is linked in our show notes. This race is also part of the new Deutschland Swimrun Cup, consisting of 10 races across Germany that take place throughout the year. And some of their urban swim runs, there's one in Berlin that just looks dope.
Nice. I bet Team Max Mockerman will be all over that.
They better be representing
Deutschland Swimrun Cup.
Yeah, definitely. In other event news, Onboard Coaching announced their The Big Battle virtual event this week. Individuals can join teams from all over the world to do as many swimruns as possible in the month of June and, quote, battle for top honors and prizes. The registration fee is only $13 with a percentage going to charity. You can find all the rules about the event on the Onboard website, which is linked in our show notes. And if you want to take part, feel free to join Team Low Tide Boyz when you register.
That's us.
That is us. Wow. Teams are capped at 30 members, so join us before we hit our cap. There's only 28 spots because, obviously
the
Chipper and
two
I
occupied.
Yeah.
No tryouts for this, so
no
first
tryouts.
come, first served.
Yeah, anyone wants to be a part of it, we'll try to make it fun. We'll figure something out to make it special. And while this is a battle, we're going to be pretty California laid back about this. So do as many swim runs as you want.
Well, we're gonna the team Low Tide Boyz will be like the Swimrun Vibe. That'll just be our team name.
Yeah,
if
you want to be part of the team, you have to pass the vibe check, which is do as many swim runs as you care to do.
Vibe check.
Anyway, that's it for this week. Feel free to email us to tip us off of any events or swimmer news that you'd like for us to share on this show.
Now on to Low Tide Boyz updates. So we're trying out something new here. We're letting you look into the Low Tide Boyz crystal ball here in Studio G for Chipper's Garage. So here are some upcoming shows that we have in the next few weeks to give you a little look-ski and to pique your interest. So we have a special guest race report, a new segment that our new show style we're trying out. So we're having a special guest team give us their race report for Swimrun Lake James. We have a full review coming out about Frank Paddle, the carbon fiber swim paddles. So that's on our Gear Talk show with the Swimrun Labs. So be sure to check that out. And of course, our next installment of Advanced Topics in Swimrun is coming up, and some other cool stuff.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed to all those goodies. And now on to this week's interview with Sarah and Vinnie from Söuthsea Swimrun.
Yeah, so it was it was
really great
fun.
Chatting with them.
It was a blast chatting with them. We always love learning about people that are super stoked on swimrun, since they are essentially our people. But we especially love it when they're also doing their part to build community in their locales, to share the love for the sport and encourage others to try it. And they're definitely doing that with Söuthsea Swimrun Club. We chatted with Sarah and Vinnie about how they discovered swimrun and their journey to start the Söuthsea Swimrun Club. We talked about how they handled the COVID restrictions and managed to have safe weekly swimrun practices pretty much all year. We also chatted about what they think the future holds for their club and for swimrun in the UK. So this was action-packed. What I find with these interviews that are really fun, Chipper, is that I feel like these are like friends that
we're making
that
friends.
We now have
yes.
that we didn't have before, and the unifying thing is that we're all super stoked on swimrun, so it makes it really easy to have these conversations and a lot of fun, I think.
Super easy. And the one part that I really loved about it was that Vinnie and Sarah knew everyone in the community, and they were just sharing stories. Oh, remember when this person drove from here, or they showed up to do this? They knew all that stuff, and they knew everybody, and they're starting from people who, just like everyone else, there's the people that are brand new into swimrun, and then there's people that are expert level or have done 10 or a dozen swim runs.
Yep, and they're trying to figure it out, and then they're trying to help other people have to, be able to skip that learning curve. So basically what we're doing here, they're doing in, the Portsmouth area of England, southern England.
So without further ado, grab your tea and crumpets and cozy in for a soothing sounds of Söuthsea Swimrun. Vinnie and Sarah. Can't believe I got all that right.
Yeah.
Did I get
impressive.
it all right?
I think so.
Let's not chance it then.
Just end it.
Let's end it.
Roll tape. All right, with us today we have Sarah King and Vinicius Vecchiatti from Söuthsea Swimrun. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Yep.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on.
So we were talking about it before we went on air. So this interview kind of happened serendipitously. We're both on a Zoom call where I obviously follow Söuthsea Swimrun on Instagram and been watching what you guys have been doing. And I saw that Vinnie was on the Zoom chat, so I went right into the chat and invited him to be interested to come on, and here we are. So thank you so much for accepting. And I guess the first question is, tell us about Söuthsea Swimrun and how it got started.
So, hi guys, thank you first of all for inviting us. We're really excited to get your invitation last week during the swimrun battle, as you mentioned, and we were panicking, like we had 1 week to prepare what we should say and etc. So I think the first thing was to say thank you very much for the invitation.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So how we got into swimrun, or how Söuthsea Swimrun started?
Both.
Okay, so I think Sarah started swim running before I did. So Sarah, wanna start just to keep chronologic?
Yeah, sure. So I'd sort of moved to Southsea feeling that I really needed to live by the sea and some water, having got into some ocean swimming when I was living in New Zealand. And the day I bought my house, I was sat by the seaside drinking a coffee, and I saw all these people in neoprene leaving the water. And I thought, obviously, well, this is where I need to buy a house. They were the Portsmouth triathletes at the time. So I joined them, and very quickly you end up doing some crazy endurance sport, don't you? You can't.
It happens like that.
Yeah,
it does
totally.
Happen that way.
But very much like Vinnie, I very quickly realised that I wasn't overly enjoying the cycling element, but I've always enjoyed like trail running, cross country running, open water swimming, and I think I must have seen an advert for a Brecca race in the UK, possibly the one in the Gower. And fortuitously for me, at the same time, a friend of a friend had also seen an advert for that, but she didn't know who to approach to be her buddy. And our mutual friends sort of put us in touch, and we were like, "Have you seen that? Do you want to do it? Yeah, why not? You go from 0 to a 42k swim run around the."
You just jumped right into the full on distance.
Might as well
nice.
do long course, right?
Absolutely. I mean, go big or go home, isn't it? So, and you need to get the full experience. You might as well have a full day out in the.
Absolutely.
You're preaching to the choir, that's for sure.
Yeah. So we did that, and being an all-female team, we were also very lucky that there was only 3 all-female teams at the event. So we podiumed on our first day out, first time out.
Major kudos.
Yeah. And we didn't come third, but we didn't win. So, and then, it is quite awkward. In the UK, there weren't that many races at the time. And, you need to find a buddy. And Lulu, I should really, say her name because she's great. She had other responsibilities. She's got a son. So, it's very difficult to match up your time and training. Mm-hmm. And so we decided, it was a whole year before we were just like, well, we might as well do it again because it was really fun. And then we had one of those years where I got plantar fasciitis. She tore something in her lower leg. And, we were still sort of thinking that we were going to get to the race again. All the while with a lovely friend called Vinnie in the background who was going, but I could do it.
I need a swim run partner over here.
Yeah. So when 3 weeks before the event, Lulu finally decided that she couldn't, under any common sense, take part. Vinnie stepped up.
What a perfect transition. So, take it away, Vinnie.
I ended up stepping into Lulu's place. That's a funny story because they had like a special name for their team. As here in Brecca, you need to give a team name. And as I was stepping in without like no swim run experience at all, until that point I was training for a half Ironman. And it was basically cycling, running, and swimming. But the cycling is always the biggest part that I never really enjoyed as much. And then Sarah came and said, "Oh, look, Lulu won't be able to do it." And they were called like the Dancing Queens.
Yeah.
So
I hope you kept the name.
You should have kept that name. If you didn't, you can always go back.
But so it was what was crazy. Like in 3 weeks, I had to buy a wetsuit and start swim running and trying to get used to it.
You
and
didn't tell them what we call ourselves, Vinnie.
Well, I will let you tell them.
Well, we thought we should continue on a theme. So obviously I'm Sarah King and we were the Dancing Queens. So we became the King and the Princess.
Ah.
And I certainly wasn't the princess. So.
Yeah, I love it.
I love it.
So
it's all about the fact that I'm not really a trail runner and I don't get my feet dirty. So people in the triathlon club calls me princess because of I'm not into trail. So that was a fun game to step into a sport that basically all the run it's off road.
Yeah. And you pretty much have wet socks the whole time.
Exactly. So it was really good experience. Yeah.
So it sounds like, Sarah, you definitely had the experience that a lot of people have in their first swim run where you're doing it and you realize, oh my goodness, this is kind of what I've been looking for a long time. And I didn't even know I was looking for it. And now I found this thing that I think is amazing and I want to do it. Vinny, was that basically your experience as well when you did your first swim run?
Yeah. So when she came 3 weeks before was like, there is this place you can, you're happy to step in. And that was funny that year I stepped into like 3 or 4 races into people's places. Mm-hmm. Everyone's dropping for any reason. And every time they're calling me, oh, you want to step in? There's a half Ironman next week. So I was going in and, there's a half marathon. And I said, yeah, fine, I can do it. But Swimrun was a little bit different. So we went in like here in Portsmouth in Söuthsea. We have a relatively calm sea and a really long beach, but it's shingles, it's not sand. We went for like a short swim run, like swimming a little bit, running a little bit. I had only my trainers, like track shorts, no t-shirt, no hand paddles, goggles, and that was it. And we did like a few swims, a few runs, and I was like, this is perfect. It's awesome. It feels strange to be here in a Swimrun podcast that you don't need to preach the priest. Is that how you say?
Well, you know what? We love. I think it's called preaching to the choir is the expression that you use here, but we do that. We do that every week, and people don't seem to mind.
Yeah, we do that a lot, actually.
We're just super stoked on it.
Basically, your job.
Yeah, I guess it is.
So I have a question. So Portsmouth is south. That's sort of the area where Southsea is. How far is it from London? Like 120 kilometers, something like that. 100 kilometers.
70 miles.
70 miles. Okay.
Also 110 Ks or something. 120.
Yeah. Cool. So you do these swim runs, and then at what point are you like, you know what, we should just start a club and start spreading the good gospel of swim run in Southsea?
So yeah, after that session, I got a wetsuit. We did the race. Before doing the race, Ottolo was releasing the entries for Malta later in that year. So that was 2019. And then we were already booked even before doing the first race together. So nice. in that same year was like we did Goa, and Sarah, she had booked already to go to Sweden and do the final 15K. I ended up joining the last minute, but we did solos. It was a great event. I recommend to anyone to go to that place because it's quite hard to qualify for world champs like you guys.
We haven't qualified.
We're not
correction.
Yeah, we're in the back of the
aspirational
pack.
Qualification. Maybe.
Yeah, we're on the back of the party bus at any swim run we're in.
Well, the 15K of the course is lovely.
Yeah, we do. That one's definitely. I love how they have it set up to where you can come and race the course and then the next day's the big dance, if you will.
Like 2 days.
Yeah,
later,
2 days,
a
couple days apart.
2 days
so
after.
It's a whole weekend. So which seems like a great time.
We would love to do the final 15. Well, I mean, we would love to do the World Championship, but sort of our party line is we want to qualify and like earn it. So, you know, I don't know if anyone thinks that we started the podcast in order to get like an entry into the World Championship. That wasn't.
That's quite the long con if that's
yeah,
that
long con.
But so you just loved it right away, and you just couldn't stop signing up for races.
No.
Exactly, and there's not a lot of races in place, so we had to make the most of it. So we went to Sweden, then we did we went to Malta, and by the time we were already like training more often in the prom and swimming in the sea here, and people were asking us, people from the club, friends, and was like kind of, oh, you should join us. This is awesome, and people are starting to join. So we had another friend going to Malta with us to race, and he joined. He was doing the sprint, and we're doing the big one again. And at that point was like, okay, if we want more people involved, if you want to bring more people in, we should at least start a group on Facebook and an Instagram page, and we need a name, and all that came up. I was a little bit dubious about the name, if we should name as Söuthsea or Portsmouth or a more generic name by the time. And on December 2019, I gave up, and I gave the name of Söuthsea Swimrun, putting O with the omelette on top. Just
Yeah, that was
a little bit
that
more
was very
Swedish.
Yes, very nice touch. We did the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so that was the point, like to create a club, just to get a group and invite people over from the tri club. So the triathlon club here in Portsmouth, they have more than 500 members.
Wow!
Nice.
So it's quite big. It's quite popular, and it's all ages, and they have great sessions. And so it was a way to not jump in their club or our club as well, but trying to steal people from inside. So we create a new club and advertise the club into their website. So it's quite cool.
Nice.
I love it.
That's awesome, and it must be really nice to not have to that they were cool with all that stuff, and it's not a competition. It's everyone is getting out and being active, and still being endurance minded. I guess it's just some people prefer not to ride a bike around, or they like to get their shoes dirty or whatever. But Söuthsea Swimrun has such a good sound to it. So good choice. Good choice, Vinny.
Cool. Thanks.
Like it. So
Thanks for your approval. I'm Michael.
You can just put a Low Tide Boyz will give you a stamp of approval on it. So it's official now.
But note that it means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing.
So it will not
sticker or something.
Will not give you any extra credit. Now it sounds like Söuthsea Swimrun has organized swimrun events that happen, it looks like 3-4 times a week. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works?
Yeah. So we used to say that every day is swimrun day in Söuthsea. So because everyone lives so close to the beach, and after we started the club, people got interest and people started to join, especially last year during COVID, that all the races were cancelled. Mm-hmm. And Portsmouth triathletes, as they are under British Triathlon, they were not able to run any sessions, no training, and people are seeing us and say, "How come you guys can do stuff?" I said, "Well, we're kind of pirates. We don't have anyone, to answer this kind of British Triathlon or federations behind. We just need to follow the guidelines from the government and be sensible to training maximum 6 people or be 2 meters apart, or training pairs rather than groups." And people start to find a little bit interest, and people that we not even imagine that would join us, they joined, and they start coming to sessions. And usually you always have at least 2 sessions a week where people do stuff together. So we start to put this adverts and we're going today, Tuesday, and we're going tomorrow, Wednesday, and different people are showing up. And
That's
during
great.
the lockdown, when Sarah and I, we used to go for runs at lunchtime, after between work, lunchtime, let's go for a run.
Yeah.
And as soon as we started swim running, why not do that in wetsuit? And do a dip, swim 500 meters, run back home, and you you get your swim run done.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I
Makes a
was
lot of sense.
beforehand, I was commuting to London to work, and obviously I haven't done that for a year because we've been working from home. So
Yeah.
it was the ideal opportunity with the government saying, you could do one exercise a day or whatever, that you try and fit in one exercise a day. To me is swim run, isn't it? You can fit in your swim and your run just in the same outfit. That's great.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's a one continuous session on your Garmin watch, so it counts as one exercise. If you get audited by the Parliament or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So, Sarah, I also noticed as well that you're the environmental officer of Söuthsea Swimrun. I would love to hear a little bit more about that. We know Untitled has a huge focus on, environmental aspects as well, as we're also into that sort of thing. So I would love to hear your take on it and what Söuthsea Swimrun's doing.
I mean, I think very much at the moment it's probably more of a title because I've always been very aware of the sea and the nature of our environment that we're swim running in. So I've always, we are very lucky. I've been to other places in the world, like Indonesia and places where there is so much plastic just in the sea and washing up on your beaches. And I think we're quite lucky where we are that we don't see a lot of that. We certainly, there are lots once when you're allowed to, when people are allowed to gather and stuff, you often get sort of monthly beach cleans in Southsea and Portsmouth. And people care, like we really respect our coastline and we want it to be beautiful. And I think certainly once people were released at certain, after various lockdowns last year, then you do see those horror stories of how bad people have treated the beach, and they've left all their rubbish.
Yeah.
And so I think if we are going to use the sea and the beach as our playground, we should do our best to keep it as clean and beautiful as we can. So I think once we can do more this summer, there'll be a lot of encouraging of members to maybe do a bit more of their bit, even if it's just, if you do a session, then, you take 3 bits of plastic off the beach with you,
Yeah.
But
I think if I may interrupt, I think Sarah's trying to play it cool here because she's like, oh no, I'm not doing anything. But every time you go for a swim or a run or even a swim run, she stops and starts to get the garbage from the beach. I said, come on, Sarah, we're training, and she's there like getting the plastic under the rock that is trapped there, and so. And it's more than fair for her to be that person. She was the other day like, oh, I need to buy a new sunscreen, and because the one that I currently have, it's polluting the ocean. And so it's automatic for her. It's stuff that we would make like a little bit of more effort to think and to process. She's already doing that in automatic, so that's why it doesn't feel that she's not doing.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's
that doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely does make sense. Now, Vinny, since you kind of have transitioned from being more of the kind of road runner and half marathons and triathlons, have you found yourself, now that you've been kind of more into swim run, having a deeper appreciation for the nature that you're doing the swim runs in and the events in?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think before I started, if you guys don't know, but I come from Brazil as well, and I come from a city, so you're mainly running in concrete and in the roads. It's not that you can run everywhere, as might be a little bit dangerous. So often running treadmills and this kind of stuff. So it wasn't my area to be out and about and exploring as we can do here in Europe. So when I moved to UK almost 6 years ago, it was like this people saying, "Oh, we're doing cross country," and I was like, "Why are you guys doing that? Like, we have roads here. We can run in the roads." And a few years later, via the Portsmouth triathletes, I ended up being. I joined the cross country with them. Went for a run. It was like they have like a special league that happens during the winter, and it was great. And I even had like cross country shoes, and I bought one. Next year I was the captain for the cross country, and everyone was laughing because my experience was like one run in the cross country, and I was already the captain ahead of everyone. So that when we did the swim run, I kind of knew what I was expecting. And the scenery that you get from swimrun, that's amazing. Not willing to quote John from swimrun.com. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. He's a guy that he's one of the guys that we met through the swimrun.
Oh,
and
nice.
I think he mentioned us on your podcast with him.
Yeah.
We are the guys that
Littlewood.
he met on Instagram, and he gave us a lift in Switzerland.
Oh, that is small world.
That's
pretty funny.
together.
To do Inkaden.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. That's hilarious.
So it sounds like, Vinny, you're just like, you get super stoked very quickly, and then you go all in. So you become cross country coach, or cross country sort of leader, and then you do a swim run. You're like, we got to start a club. Let me just start that. Now, what with COVID and everything, it sounds like you guys were still putting on some of your events. Now that hopefully COVID is, I wouldn't say it's in the rearview mirror, but hopefully it's getting to the point where it's in the rearview
Less
mirror.
aggressive.
What do you guys have planned for the future?
Okay.
Good question.
That's a really good question. Yeah. So last year during the COVID, we were in lockdown, no able to travel anywhere, and we had planned to do Otilo Hvar in Croatia. We were doing the sprint. Everyone solo. Our friends were joining. We had 2 more guys joining us in Croatia, and of course got cancelled. And we were here. We already started like some kind of training at the time, and we had an idea to go take the distance and do like virtually in our shore. So we're swimming and running in Southsea, the Otilo Sprint Hvar distance, and it was awesome. It was just like doing a race. And next weekend, I called Sarah and said, "Shall we pick another event?" So we chose, which one was the next one? Maybe the next one was Engadin. So we did Engadin Sprint. And then the next weekend we did Catalina. And that's how we started kind of a training, doing virtually those races. And
what an awesome...
by the end of the summer, sorry.
No, go ahead, Vinny.
By the end of the summer, with all those people seeing us training and doing like 2 hours training in the prom, they start to join. So in the last few, I think since August, other people start to join us as well in those events, like an official special edition events we were naming at the time. And I was making medals for the finishers with pebbles from the beach that came with a natural hole on it.
Love it.
And
awesome.
It was awesome. So that's what we did last year, and we're planning to carry on with those unofficial events as to get more people involved, other than the normal sessions that we carried on doing through the winter. Well, I say we, but Sarah's been doing those more than I did.
I think that's what Chris speaks for me a lot, so I'm going to speak for him. But it's what we love so much about the community is that everyone's doing their own thing to kind of keep the love and the passion for the sport going, and that's what you did. And you know, I love your Instagram account. You're always posting big group photos. I mean, you're getting some photos you're getting 3 or 4 people, other ones you have a dozen, maybe up to maybe 18 or so folks. So I would love to hear a little bit about kind of what's the makeup of the Söuthsea Swimrun club. What's sort of the makeup of the members there? Are they former triathletes, or are they just looking for something new? What's the makeup, and how big a group do you have?
So this year we started officially to have like a membership and trying to get some funds to help the club. So until March, everything was free. People were just a group of friends actually meeting and encouraging the sport, making people, helping everyone. Because we were like not long ago, I was swim running for the first time. So I had like pool boy that Sarah borrowed from Lulu, so I was wearing those, and I even knew how to make a pool boy. And so that's the whole spirit of the club, is just to allow people to join and have this kind of come here. We're gonna exchange a little bit of experience through the sport. So buy a pool boy, or if you don't know which one to buy, can buy one. I bought a lot of elastics, a lot of straws, and I was making for people, and just to see that community, that the sport to grow. And so this year we started to say, okay, let's try to get some funds so we can get some flags. We can get a little bit better with our club, and maybe one day have a proper race. I don't know, like being in front of the club. I can be honest, I don't know where we're gonna get, but the whole theme and the whole ethos of the club itself is just to allow more people to swim run. And I think we've been succeeding quite well, because now we had people that we met, like John and Sarah from swimrun.com, that join us in Engadin. We met other people in Sweden. We met Alex. Then we end up meeting him again in Switzerland. Other friends like Ian, we met through through Instagram as well. Yeah, he's shout out to Ian, because he will be listening.
I mean this in the best way possible. He's hard not to meet.
Yeah,
he's out there.
Super stoked.
He came to Southsea as well for one of the when lockdown sort of ended last time and it was loud. He came over from Cambridge to do one of our swim runs as well, which was brilliant.
That is awesome. What a great story. Love Ian so much.
Yeah. So we have people coming from Cambridge. It's like 3 hours drive to do a swim run and turn back and go back home. We have people from like Southampton. It's about 1 hour drive to get here, coming for a Tuesday session. We had people from Gosport, that it's a little bit closer, but still coming over to join us. And so we're trying to grow this, but without like a lot of plan on what we want to become, other than grow the sport. And this year that's the plan. We have 50-50 between women and men, so I think that's pretty good.
Great.
I'm hoping to get more women into the sports, but that's Sarah's area, so I will let her talk about it.
You're pretty good at encouraging the ladies to join. Yeah, no, I was thinking about that because I was listening to your podcast with the Southsea Mermaids, and obviously they're very keen to encourage women into the sport. And I'd never really thought about it, because I've always done sport with men. And at a certain level, because there are more men doing certain sports, you end up just doing your training with men and not really thinking about it. But obviously, and I've been doing sport since I was a little kid. I was that annoying kid who was running cross country at 9, on snowy fields around your school field. But not every woman have had those experiences. A lot of women give up sport in their teens because they start to feel uncomfortable about doing it. So I was really encouraged listening to their podcast, and it made me think whether we need to So myself and there's a couple of other of the sort of more female leaders of the club, Axie and Donne. I think maybe we might do a female session just to encourage people in, so that they can see it's a safe place for them to then join the general team.
Yeah, it reminds us. So we're all about that. I mean, the dual missions of our show is to help grow the sport in the U.S., but it's also, and I guess the world now. But also make it as inclusive and accessible as possible, as diverse as possible, which is one of the reasons why we really love Fanny and Mia from Wild Swimrun, because that's what they're all about. They're all about helping women and girls get into the sport, and we, totally co-sign with what they're doing. So the more people that are doing that, we're all about promoting those efforts, because, like you said, I mean, it's something that you almost take for granted that you shouldn't. And yeah, it's just great to see more people enjoying it, because like you guys experienced, you find this thing that you didn't know existed, you do it, you have a great time, it ends up enriching your life, which is what sports should do. It could be the same for a lot of other people. They just don't know it exists yet, or they don't think that they can show up because of fitness or whatever, or intimidation, whatever it is. And there's just so many ways to break down those barriers. And it sounds like you guys are already thinking about ways to do that.
Yeah, and Vinny you kind of experienced it too, Vinny. The first time you went out for the swim run, you didn't know what sort of the gear, and swimrun does have a little bit of complexity. It's not, I guess triathlon's kind of quote unquote easier to think about. It's like, well, you need a bike to bike, and you need your shoes to run, and to swim, you need goggles. And that's generally, people can sort of like wrap their heads around that, the concept of those gear items. But then swimrun, they're like, okay, so when you run, where are your shoes? And you're like, well, no, those are on you when you're swimming and you're running, and then that's a little bit more of a, complexity thing to think about. That's just I could see that being definitely another intimidation layer, or another layer of an obstacle to kind of clear. And if there is that sort of safe space, that everyone's at the same level, that there's no judgments or comments or anything going around, that's the place that we want to try to promote and do that, similar to what the Swimrun Mermaids do, of course, as well.
Yeah, I think on that point, even speaking about like 2 years ago, we didn't have a lot of resource to find information about Swimrun, because you guys didn't exist. So now you
Thanks.
Giving more information to people. Like
right.
you start to create videos how to make the lasso pool boy. More than six months ago, we didn't have that. People asking simple questions like, what kind of hand paddles do I need? What kind of pool boy can I do? And those information, they were not there. If they were, like, what minimal. And for triathlon's been in the spotlight for quite some time. So you Google triathlon, you can find what I need, or any kind of, you have triathlon magazines. Yeah. But you don't have that on Swimrun. So it's more like, okay, what is that? Is that any? When we did it the first year, was like 1 or 2 wetsuits that there was like proper made for Swimrun.
Yeah.
And now that we have like a handful of options, it's still like, it's not that level as the same as triathlon. And I think it's good to be in that learning curve where the whole sport is growing. Everyone is learning more, like carbon fiber paddles, bigger pool boys, smaller pool boys. Is that bigger pool boys always better? Depends the water, depends like the density. Yep. But you need to try. Everyone needs to experience those things.
Yep.
But now definitely is much easier to jump in the swim run scene, where we have you guys, we have other people doing kit review, and that definitely something that we are trying to do as well. Like, even if it's for our members, helping them too with the pool boy and stuff, having people like you advocating that, putting really nice videos on YouTube is awesome.
Well, we really appreciate all the nice words there.
Yeah, and everything you're saying is pretty much what we've experienced, even to a more degree in the U.S., because when we did our first swim run a few years ago, no one knew what we were talking about, and people kept asking us questions about it, and we got so tired of answering the same question over and over that we basically came up with the idea to start a podcast. And a year,
The rest is history.
Year and almost a half later, here we are. But yeah, it's a really interesting space in the sport where we are now. I mean, the sport is 15 years old. It's kind of on the cusp. It's already worldwide, but it's kind of on the cusp of really expanding. And we were saying that last year was going to be the year of swimrun, but COVID had something to say about that. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm curious to hear what you guys think in terms of where do you see the sport growing in the UK. We know we've interviewed the ladies from As Keen as Mustard, and we know Brecca is obviously from there. But do you see more events coming online in the UK post-COVID?
For sure. We had an opportunity last year to do As Keen as Mustard events. And they, even in COVID times with a lot of restrictions, they managed to do 5 races.
Yeah.
And
in a row.
to race those.
Yeah. We did them all.
Great.
You did them all. Wow.
Yeah. Well, whilst we were allowed, I mean, it was very lucky. Like, it opened up just long enough that they could put them on and we could get to them. So if there was going to be a race, then we were going. And it was great for us because it actually really consolidated. Like, we learned how to be a proper swimrun duo at those events. I think
you had like a 5-week training camp almost of swimrun, like intensive learning session, a crammed summer school course or something of swimrun.
I learned that you should definitely tether yourself to Vinnie when swimming because he's much better at that than me.
He's a fish, huh? Is that true, Vinnie? Can you confirm?
I cannot deny.
I love it.
What's the community like? So, how, I guess this is sort of my barometer for measurement on how widely accepted swimrun is. So when Chris and I were doing some of our swimrun practices last summer, we kind of get some of the weird looks when you get out of the water in your wetsuit and you take off running. People are looking at you. Oh, is this person a military, Navy SEAL, or Green Beret or something?
Yeah, or just some weird like kinky thing.
Yeah, some weird thing that they're just into wearing neoprene all the time,
being tethered,
but then being tied up to other people. But then by the end, 2 or 3 months later, we would go by and people were saying, "Oh, I think they're swim running." And so it was already catching on in a short period of time. Now, it could have just been us that they kept seeing us. But what stage of this is the UK and especially where you are in Portsmouth and Southsea? Are you getting the like really sideways head tilt kind of thing? Like, what the hell's going on here? Or are people really into and know about swimrun?
I think it's the same. I don't know about what you think, Vinnie, but definitely when we were doing our sessions last year, there was a lot of head turning. What the hell is coming towards me? And then, some people smile because we do look ridiculous. We like to think we look like superheroes rather than Navy SEALs, but I don't know. Then we're also in a Navy town, so they probably know what the Navy look like, and we just look a little bit more, superheroes.
I think so.
But yeah, you get a lot of head turning, but then equally, so Vinnie's sister also lives in town and she's kind of almost a non-official photographer. So she's always kind of wandering along the prom and taking some of those pictures that you see on Instagram. And if she's behind us, she gets what are they? Why have they got pool boys? Yeah. Why are they running around in a wetsuit? And then, occasionally there is I think it's swimrun.
Nice.
Well, I've made this joke on the show before, but in our experience, there's 3 reactions that we would get from people. Mm-hmm. One would be like, these guys are crazy, like what's going on? Then some people would be like thinking that we're Navy SEALs or superheroes or something. And then there's the people that be so confused they would actually stop us and ask us like, what's happening?
We're running and they kind of like they're like, like put their hands out like, stop, what are you guys doing?
It's very strange.
Well, but if you think like here the water now is like 7-8 degrees, anyone swimming the sea is already a superhero, and people will be like what you're doing there. Why are you in the water? And so you naturally get this from people anyway. And even when the water is warmer, it's still bloody cold. So it's kind of a reaction, natural. But then when you're running on the prom with the wetsuits as well, when a boy attaching your leg or touching your back, that you get a lot of head turns on that.
I think I think there have been some people who've seen us and then joined us, you know?
Yeah. So, there was, I think, so how people join us, if I may say, like we had Colin, he saw our post on Facebook, he really liked the art, and he joined the club and messaged me saying, okay, can I come for a swim run? I said, yeah, you can. He's a triathlete, did Ironman and stuff. But he had no idea what Swimrun was about, because he was asking me, where do you guys leave the trainers? And like, how far are you going to swimming? How far are you going to run? And where you leave the trainers? And it was like great, because when I told him that he actually had to swim with the trainers and carry on running on a wetsuit, and he came, he loved it, and he's part of the club. He keeps coming and awesome. Like everyone else. And we had people like Kim that saw us having a coffee after the session. We were all dressed up as superheroes. And she walked to one of us and said, what are you guys doing? Oh, we're swim running.
Like we're having coffee.
How do I know more about it? Oh, join us on the webpage or the Facebook page. And she joined us. She's been doing swim run with a full wetsuit. Not even got a shorter one yet. Oh, but that doesn't stop her to do it. And we have like any kind of levels. People during the summer, people that didn't have a wetsuit, so they put like a tri suit. It was warm enough to do those sessions, and they were doing anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Vinny, you have me convinced. I might sign up to be a swimrun pirate.
Well, and let me tell you, so I think if I have some feedback for the website, I think you should make sure that people can join that are not in the UK to your club, because I think there'd be some people who might want to support you guys who might not be located in the UK. So
they're talking to you, right now.
Yeah, actually, I tried to join yesterday. Join Southsea Swimrun, but I don't have a postal zip code in the UK, and I couldn't make one up that.
Yeah, where do you just do? So if you're,
I was going to put like Buckingham Palace or something.
That would be good. Yeah, just put something like that. So SouthseaSwimrun.com is where you find if you're into everything that Vinny and Sarah have been talking about. How can you not be? You're already listening to.
If you're picking up what they're putting down, and
head on over,
and you're in London and South, seems to me like this would be a great group to meet up with if you're either experienced or new to the sport.
So for a very low fee,
25
pounds, the heaviest fee that I've encountered yet, sorry, I couldn't help myself. That was a dumb American joke.
That's a really bad joke.
That was a really bad joke. For 25 pounds, you get access to this really great club. There's a Facebook group where it sounds like all the convening around workouts and swim runs are taking place. Obviously, you have a really great community that's focused on growing the sport. There's some cool swag and merch to buy as well. So you really head on over to SouthseaSwimrun.com and check it out, and at least give them a like on Facebook and follow their Instagram so you can see all of Vinny's sister's wonderful photography.
Yeah, thank you for
as
that.
well.
So Sarah and Vinny, we really appreciate you guys taking the time to come on, and just full of gratitude.
Anything else we missed that you want to touch on? When's the next? Or do you have a kickoff for the year? Anything? Or I guess once the restrictions are lifted.
I'm really brave, so I've been swim running throughout, even on Christmas Day.
Wow!
But, tomorrow morning at 9:15, there is a session for anybody. But the warning is the water is still only about 8 or 9 degrees.
That's like 47, 48 degrees Fahrenheit. That's
not
too
quite
cold
reaching,
for us.
Yeah,
that's too cold for us.
So
it needs to be
I don't
50
expect many people to show up.
Yeah, we'll hang out with Vinny's sister taking photos.
Call us when the coffees are up. We'll head over for the coffee after.
No, thank you guys. Thank you for having us. We're really, really stoked to be invited and be able to tell a little bit of our story of Söuthsea Swimrun and how we're encouraging people to swim run.
Yeah, totally.
Pleasure. Our pleasure.
Well, Vinny and Sarah, thanks again, and we'll see you around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Low Tide Boyz, a Swimrun podcast. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast and leave a review on iTunes if you're so inclined.
You can also sign up for a newsletter at lowtideboyz.com. That's boys with a Z. And check out our meme page at The Low Tide Boyz on Instagram. If you have any questions or suggestions for the show, drop us an email at lowtideboyz@gmail.com.
We'd like to thank Writing Easy Records for our show music, and of course our wives for their support and tolerance of our swimrun activities, hobbies, and other bullshit we do.
Finally, you can support our efforts on Patreon. Until next time, get out there and go for a swim.
And then a run.
And then another swim.
Then another run.
And then another swim.
And then run to the finish line. And just keep going until you're done.
Yes. Or
until
run
you
to
cross the finish line.
Or run to the car.
Or run to your car.
Somewhere. Just keep running.
Peace.
Only